Skew.
GM.
You
GM,
survived
GM.
crypto. Congratulations.
One surviving.
Just barely. Didn't get liquidated.
I mean, it can't get liquidated if you hold, right? And you don't sell. It's not the saying.
Indeed. How are things with you, sir?
Quite good, quite good. I mean, considering we didn't break down from like the low from last week, that's kind of nice. But I mean, we're definitely not out of the woodworks in terms of trouble. That's for sure.
Skew, what do you do in your personal life when you're not trading?
Honestly, work. I mean, it sounds like psychotic, but I mean that's basically what I do. Work. I mean, family. I probably should like hike and like gym more, but I mean, trenches, you know.
Mm-hmm. Same. GM, Mr. Robot. Good to see you in the comments. As usual, we'll be doing this stream today. Are we going to head over to the Discord after the first hour, Skew, or will we keep it here today?
Probably keep it here today. I do want to push. I mean, we can probably talk about the new Discord on stream, right?
Hey, I don't believe in secrets. We're all part of the same ecosystem here.
Right. So, basically, I've created like this new cool community-driven Discord, which will eventually link to the as in pretty soon link to the Woo Discord. So I can talk about that more actually off stream in the Woo Discord and get some kind of like thoughts around in terms of like what you guys want in terms of like a Discord community and such, and then essentially make it happen.
Indeed. So, have a place where we can talk about trading on Woo products, on orderly products, silently.
Not even just that. It's since it's community driven, it can be like whatever people want, really.
Mm-hmm. And my master plan to silently brainwash everybody to use Woo products subliminally. They'll never see it coming.
Of course they won't. It's kind of funny since your avatar is like what, kind of like a pirate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That's very pirate behavior.
Cyberpunks. That's what Vitalik called us. We're all crypto cyberpunks.
Did he say that in a recent tweet?
Yeah, he said we need to return to the cyberpunk culture, which I think is true, right? We went from being, thinking of ways to build systems that, protect privacy, decentralize. And then we went to, how do we make as much money as possible during meme season? And then we went to crime season. And then we went to, how do we pretend that we're as close to Trump as possible so that people will believe that Trump is going to pump our bags? Seems like we have lost our way a little bit as an industry.
Kind of, yeah. But you know what? It really reminds me a lot of 2017, essentially, where projects would do and could do anything in terms of trying to get like the spotlight on their project. And we've seen that from AI agents to decentralization to being like your own EVM thing to like various different narratives and such. Like already in, I don't know, the span of a month or two. I mean, the fact it's like March already is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I think we used to be pretty good at calling out our own bullshit as an industry, like the announcement of an announcement, the fake partnerships. And there was always a good portion of CT who was very skeptical. But now it does seem like a little bit of a free-for-all, everybody vying to get into the World Liberty Financial portfolio. Strategic reserve this asset, strategic reserve that asset, and be a little more cynical.
It's honestly more PvP than I thought it would have been. and that's probably because the guidelines are kind of murky in terms of like what you can and can't do. Especially in terms of like business practice. And this, I haven't really seen it like this before. I mean, in like 2020, things were kind of PvP in terms of like which chain is better. But like everything grew essentially, and I mean, in terms of like trading in the market itself, you had VCs that were openly buying on market. You had um, crazy firms like Alameda, which obviously made everything go up. And we kind of miss those two elements at the moment. I think in time it'll return. One way is with things getting like a more bridged over to like TradFi. You'll have like potentially CTA type buying every single quarter of like Bitcoin and ETH and Solana, like like a basket of the major cryptos. Something like that will be probably eventual.
Mm-hmm.
But like what I think the space needs, honestly, especially in terms of like um, new investors as well as like old investors actually being interested in the market, over the long term, is founders that actually exist for a reason other than to like extract money from the
Mm-hmm.
market. Like again, I'm going to mention Pumped Up Fun. I think is not innovative at all, but just the liquidity extractor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was on the stream yesterday with JT, the founder of Woo, and he talked about that the team spirit. It does sound a little bit corny and cheesy, but surviving these market conditions, you need teams that are really strong and focused behind a mission. So that'll, I think, will play a part. But it's almost funny, Skew. People were so critical of VCs at the end of last cycle and into this cycle. But
Yeah,
VCs were the ones who were really driving a lot of altcoins. And you kind of see it now where projects look a little bit rudderless. It's like the team is shipping or they're not shipping. The community's pissed about the token. Maybe I'm self-reflecting a little bit here. But I
right.
mean, you used to have really powerful VCs like, 3AC. When they got behind a token, right? Like it was a huge promotional channel. People believed in what they were doing because it was them. And there were numerous cases of this, right? But now it's like you attach that VC name to something, it's almost like
I mean,
tainted.
you can understand why though from the point of view of a retail investor, right? VCs, used to be a good driving force of altcoins because they had resources, they had builders, they had XYZ, which would benefit the token price and sentiment, as well as being able to ship products that actually did something. But then, like I think last cycle is where it opened the doors to a lot of bad actors. So a lot of bad shit
Too many
happened.
VCs.
Yes, too many
Maybe.
VCs. The VC space was saturated, but also things weren't shipped as they were advertised. Things did
Mm-hmm.
not perform or do as they were meant to, and like just the domino effect of things not coming to fruition. And retail investors obviously were like, what the fuck? And by that
Yeah.
point, insiders had sold their bags because they obviously knew the valuation was not where it should be. And obviously, of course, so they know, so therefore they will dump it because they have insider knowledge, or simply they just understand valuations better. That impacts the sentiment and mindshare a lot from the perspective of the average investor and average trader. So they're obviously not going to like VC coins after that.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be very few coins, I think, that they actually trust in terms of specific VC names that are attached to it, which have like a good reputation at doing something. And not just looking to dump on people, which is usually the perspective people have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we bring back the golden age of VCs and tokens going up.
GM
But
guys,
uh, GM,
so,
sir.
sorry for being
Jam.
late. A police stopped me.
Wait, you got stopped by the
What?
police?
Yeah, yeah, I'm almost sure I will get a ticket. By there are those cameras which takes photos, and I'm not used to drive on the side of the road, and yeah,
Oh yeah.
they stopped me, and yeah,
You
it's
were
kind of
driving on the wrong side of the road.
not exactly like I did a few things wrong. I'm not sure what the ticket would be for, either speeding or being slow or driving on the wrong side, because there was an episode when I was driving very, very slow to piss the guy behind me, and it turned out he was a policeman. He get out from the car and opened the door, and I was like, fuck.
Oh
Anyway,
dear. Oh
back,
dear. We
back
got
to the
problems in the market, problems in real life, problems with the law.
yeah,
What are we gonna do, boys?
yeah. Well, it ain't
Right.
looking
Should we
good.
put some charts up on the screen before Michael goes
Yeah.
to jail?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Bitcoin is quite
Well,
strong today, isn't it?
yeah, I think I have a feeling someone's been T-wopping it over us. Well, I will explain why as well.
But someone said it might be Sailor, but usually Sailor
Or
was like,
maybe.
okay, we are going lower.
Oh, and usually Sailor buys at the highs, so I mean,
Bit of a weird time for Sailor though, right? Middle of the night in US.
he has done it before. I mean, he doesn't do it. It's Coinbase institutional, and they TWAP based off like two things: market conditions, so, like when volatility is basically dead, like now, and when there's like decent enough liquidity provided by themselves to do it. And they typically do it between like multiple different order books and stuff like that.
Oh, I thought he just
So I
top
mean, like,
blasted.
yeah, he is a top loss for sure. But yeah, I mean, first of all, I did tweet this before. This amount of like bid depth, this is bid depth, which is basically where the order book is very skewed towards buyers. This is a good depth. Like I haven't seen a depth like that in a while. And like if you go back, it was here with the breakdown, right? But at the same time, the market flow was basically just selling the entire way. You could basically see it from that, and it was reacting to tariff news. And I think the current narrative essentially is gold being strong, but also based off the inflation data, it wasn't as bad as people thought, as well as like a lot of underlying conditions seem to be kind of breaking, potentially disinflationary. Plus the trade war, which continues to get worse, between everyone and the US, is obviously going to impact growth a lot and prices a lot. And the question of if it's like pretty severe, then it should be like very deflationary, actually. But yeah, currently, since we swept, this low last week, which was driven by the nothing burger of the US admin not really doing exactly anything besides announcing a potential announcement in terms of a strategic reserve and yada yada for crypto. They haven't really concretely done anything yet.
I think you nailed that on the stream last week, by the way.
Yeah. So I said like nothing burger basically means we're going to bleed back to basically the like 80K, which basically happened.
And bleeding, we did a lot of bleeding.
Yeah, I mean, basically, but yeah, we swept the low. We didn't break down. I was like, there's literally no volatility here from the price action.
Does that surprise you?
Kinda...
It surprised me a little bit that we actually stuck between 80K and 83K. It seems like this whole week.
Right. So I mean, we have had like a move, like a squeeze, kind of like this, right, where it just like went up, then retraced it instantly, right? Quite inefficient. Now the question is, are we seeing a efficient grind higher with like actual demand, right? And if that's true, then we can line up for like a potential big bounce, into this supply. This is like real supply. Between like I would say the previous high, so like 94 and 95 is quite a key price. We could potentially squeeze back up to 100K if we do that. I'd be keeping a very close eye on it because I wouldn't be entirely convinced that we're back,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it would be clarification, and that is like the relief bounce. We typically get one before, like a larger downtrend. There's like a massive relief bounce, and then it like continues off, and that's typically because of like macro, right? So in terms of macro, currently everyone's like literally everyone I think is already in terms of TradFi in the whole front running of the recession trade, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned last week as well.
Mhm. Yeah, if this doesn't squeeze up soon, I'm probably gonna have to pivot to gold, or it's gonna be over
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
So gold is I'll show you the stats
All-time
real quick.
high.
Yes, correct. And typically when gold moves fast, it's bullish for Bitcoin. And it has been, so it's like actually quite strong. It has not broken structure, like literally at all.
But
Continues
aren't they
going well.
usually correlated, right? It feels like Bitcoin's lagging, and if the
Yes.
implication is it will go up because, but in the past it was usually tied to things like inflation and stuff like that.
Right. So it's contextual, meaning like why gold goes up is important. So like if gold goes up because of debt, for example, that doesn't impact Bitcoin really until like much later on, and that's usually just because
Mm.
like the flow involved with like this. Wait, let me turn off the stupid magnet. Like this whole move, right? The the firms involved with leading price high essentially look to take profit, and you see kind of like a chop or like a slight decline even. And during these like declines, especially, you see a Bitcoin bid. So spot generally gets bought up by the market by these same firms. Essentially because they can get like a 5 to 15% move or something like that. That's usually what they're aiming for. So that's something I'm looking out for at the moment.
Ben, we can hear you making a sandwich.
Oh, I'll mute that. Sorry.
Wait, are you making food or coffee? I'm curious.
No, somebody else is actually tidying up around.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, gold looks good. It's always nice to compare it with the Dixie. Wrong one. Which continues to move lower. I mean, gold bounced off weekly. Dollar, I wouldn't really call it a rejection, but just looks weak. Which
So what does that all mean
actually,
for a skew? Inform the plebs.
well, if we look at the aspect of what Trump wants, this is what Trump wants. He wants lower dollar, right? Lower yields as well. So like he can call that his policies worked. So like the more crazy he goes with tariffs and whatever the fuck to cause as much chaos as possible, the lower his admin has to refinance on debt and whatever shit fest they're involved in, which I think is coming up soonish.
Next week,
Then
Wednesday at
right,
2:30 Eastern time. The
right.
FOMC, right? So yeah, should be a exciting week ahead.
Yes. I think it'll be pretty expected. Like they'll be neutral-ish, but dovish in terms of like, if shit falls off the wheels pretty quickly, like 2020 style, in terms of volatility and chaos and whatnot, which can actually happen just from unwinding. By the way, that was like the whole thing for like the COVID crash. It was quite literally just massive leverage unwinding from the market. Just like an FYI, and obviously correlation to like oil and such like that.
I just threw a comment up on the screen. I don't know if you can see it, Skew.
Have tariffs taken effect already? No. There's typically like the real effect and impact of tariffs takes time in terms of trade. But preemptively, like the preemptively effect is typically like two ways, right? The market reacting first and foremost. Then secondly, the businesses involved in the tariffs, what they end up doing. So like the most recent one, which is kind of funny to me, is Europe and US tariffing each other's alcohol. Which, you know, if you're a politician that understands you know, demographics, right? Everyone to some degree drinks, right? And if people can't get their fix as in like the wine, the whiskey, whatever it may be, you're going to get a very pissed off voting group, right? So I highly doubt that's going to last very long, like at all. And if anything, it just means the prices of alcohol just goes up, which, you know, doubles the effect that people are going to be pissed off that can't get drunk.
Is
Well,
nothing sacred anymore.
interesting. I didn't think about it, about the alcohol aspect. Like I was surprised that they tariff such a product, but now I see like
I mean,
overall like people are going
think
to
about it
be
like this.
angry. It makes sense.
Yeah. Think about, let's see, you have a sand pit, right? The one kid has like the what do you call them? The digger truck thingy where it like can lift up sand and whatnot. And then the other kid has, I don't know, just a figurine, but wants the digger more, right? So then they're like,
course.
oh, okay, I'll just take it from this kid and then try to keep both, right? That is essentially what the US is trying to do. And then the other kid, which is screaming, which is basically Europe at the moment. And then eventually someone else, as in everyone else, is going to come in and be like, you're being stupid, and then give the truck back to the European kid, which is essentially like cutting the tariff, as in like not actually tariffing like certain individual things, which achieves nothing essentially, other than like two toddlers having tantrums.
That's where we're at.
Yep, pretty much. I wouldn't
I
be
think what
surprised.
Mr. Robot was getting at is maybe the Bitcoin prices are pricing in future tariffs rather than like the long-term economic effects of
I think
things.
it's already been priced in, to be honest. I think like the main tariffs were already priced in like last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I just look, I'm pretty sure it was literally just this. Like
So up
this
only from here.
was the tariff move. Then this bounce was basically contextual that, you know, it's like, oh, reject, support, therefore downtrend. So the market believes we're in a downtrend now because the break in structure, right? Makes sense. However, you know, we actually failed to break down below this initial low and this wick, right? We filled it, swept it, good close, and now we have the opportunity to create potentially a higher low, and then obviously to retest the yearly open and like 92, 94k. That'll be like super important. Obviously, if we wick it and then like reject, or if we reject like 86, 87k, then to me that would confirm a high time frame downtrend from that.
I threw another question up there for you.
I see how
Bansk.
for some now.
Bansk is on the YouTube. Look at that technology. We're now streaming on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter all at once. Just need to get the Twitch channel up there as well.
Yeah, nice. Good job on that, by the way. Okay, so who are short and what do you make of that bounce? I mean, we can actually go into it.
It's a pretty heavy question. I'm gonna leave this one to you, Skew.
I mean, so for like, to be honest, with like Bitfinex data, I tend to ignore it simply because they're mostly like on the limit side, meaning usually like the CVD will be, you know, like big, massively negative. Like it'll constantly go down when there's like a lot of buyers from Bitfinex. When there's a lot of sellers, it'll actually go up, and that's typically because you know, there's like the market bid, but largely they're actually selling in the price. So I believe they did that in like each individual local top, which you know is actually kind of a good signal. CVD in terms of perps tends to be more around like short-term direction, as in like what the market's positioning as. Like here, for example, open interest continues to increase, CVD goes down. You also get like constantly negative delta. right? As well as like takers are selling. That's a directionally short market essentially, and they've been doing it the same here. And then you typically just get like, you know, when there's synchronization, so like in sync, you see CVDs go down, OI goes down at the same time, as well as you get negative delta, lower funding, lower, and the markets that's discounting, like the perp markets that starts to discount spot quite a bit. That's usually where people start giving up on longs, or longs just closing in general. We're actually starting to see.
What do you think about Binance
more.
being short though? It just takes a lot for crypto traders to get depressed and overzealous on the short side.
Well, I mean, if we look at this low here, actually make it like bigger. They've been short on the way down. So like obviously this bounce they didn't believe in. They thought it was going to break down from 80K, and they're still, you know, increasing their shorts. Price is grinding higher actually here. And I think a lot of this price movement is probably shorts having to cover because OI continues to go down, but take a bit increases. We're starting to see a little bit like longs, a little bit, but it's just mostly shorts covering. I mean, the market looks pretty net short, to be honest.
Skew, are you sharing another screen? Because we're looking at the Bitcoin Tether chart on Binance.
Oh,
I
didn't realize
there
that.
it is.
Yeah, so
Now it makes sense.
basically here, I'll summarize. So we have this OI increase, and here, as well as like CVDs continue to go down, as well as we have price weakness, right? And we have takers selling from spot. It's a good combination that the market is not expecting high at all, right? And then obviously you get the price decline here. But what's very important to note is price did not break down, right, from 80K. It tested it here, bounced, tried to test again, but was not able to. And we also know from the order book as well that someone was actually filled here. So someone was buying, right? As well as price has been increasing quite a lot here. And we know it's entirely underlying flow that's leading it, right? And we can see that from here. So we can see OA increasing, but then it starts to dramatically decrease as price goes higher. That's shorts essentially having to cover or cut, right? And now we're actually seeing a little bit of longs here. A little bit of
I don't know if you
interest.
saw it, Skew, but Antelope had pasted a link and he highlighted a yellow box around some of the data. And you can check it out. The link is in the comments.
Antelope trades. Let me open that. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is the 1 day time frame. So generally with like delta and CVD, which is basically just delta in itself, you want to use it on like lower time frame. It's more accurate. But essentially what we can see in this picture, right, is Bitfinex spot has been selling into price, and because of that, you tend to get like a more positive delta. So it tends to lift. And that's because, you know, someone's offloading where it's being matched by, you know, whatever firm essentially. So that's essentially both of these two, so Coinbase and Bitfinex, right? And you can also see with the candles, like around that doji, right? And then this candle here, we see the largest delta print, even though price is weak and the market's weak. That's someone that's selling into take a bid. So like whatever market buys here were essentially used as like exit liquidity. But at the same time, we didn't break down yet, right? From 80K, which I think is quite contextually important, especially when you look at like perps below, because you see like quite heavy unloading, especially into 80K and below, especially like around here. You see very heavy market selling from like perp market. And that we primarily know was like two things: the market hedging aggressively. Okay, how do I remember drawings? Yeah, so the market obviously was hedging aggressively. Then around the low, as well as the market was short again. But at the same time, longs had actually been completely destroyed on the way down. So like the actual break of like 90K wrecked so many longs. Around here. So we can see around 80K. You see that OI lift, right? And then obviously it breaks down as price bounces back. And you get the same with the take a bid. And then we can see around, market gets quite short because of tariffs, and everyone expects the market to die and fall off a cliff, etc. It's over kind of thing, blah, 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 blah. And then you can see right with these candles here specifically, the break of 91 to like 90K, around that. A lot of longs get wrecked. At the same time, the initial like shorts from higher TP, but they carry the rest much lower because they know the market is particularly weak or vulnerable, right? So that explains this like negative delta, right? So I think like what's important next on like a micro time point is especially intraday, so like 15, 30 minute, like 1 hour or 5 minute even. Like if I do 1 hour, for example, you can see, this CBD basically goes down because the market is primarily just been selling, right? However, when you combined it with like order book data, and you can see like all the passive bids and the passive asks, like limit asks, limit bids, you essentially know where the liquidity is. So then you can see, how CVDs react around that liquidity. So like, if price goes into ask liquidity, the ask liquidity gets filled. That means CVD typically goes up, right? Then that obviously tells you the direction that take a flow is in terms of with price. It's like price going up, take is buying, as well as like limit asks being filled. So it's like your direction of the CVD. So it requires like a lot of analysis and understanding the context of what's actually going on behind price. Maybe I should write like or make like an infographic in terms of like reading like delta, I guess.
That could work.
Yeah, I should do that for the new Discord.
Some good insights here from Mr. Robot as well. Just throw them up on the screen.
This confirms the presence of passive sales on there too. In terms of like Coinbase, yeah. Like Coinbase's flow has been pretty much just selling, and I think that's honestly kind of expected because of ETFs and the ETF flow, as well as like the correlation to equities.
Fansk wants your guide to Delta. You said you have until Saturday evening to get it done.
Mr. Robot, would you like to
Oh, yeah.
join us? I can send you a link, and you can join if you want. Just DM me on Telegram, please, and I will send you the link.
Yeah, if anyone wants to come up and ask questions, feel free to do it, or you can just keep spamming comments. Works too. But it's good engagement today. Love seeing it. All right, Mr. Robot's on his way. He's coming.
It's like we can already see pre-market there's pretty decent take a bid. Like these green bars, basically positive delta. Someone's buying into passive liquidity. So like these asks above price continue to get bought into. We'll see if they continue to do it. It's not like 9 out of 10 times it's algorithmically driven. So it's not someone like manually going, "Oh, I want to buy here." It's typically algos. And yeah, like literally as we're talking, we're seeing them do it. It's the same consistent size as being used as well. 67, BTC 62, 81. And it's likely the same algo that's buying, then quoting liquidity that they require above. This does tend to be in line with like Sailor buying or someone else. At the same time, they probably know, the market is pretty short at the moment. I mean, Bybit's a pretty good example actually of retail. Chasing the bounce and then getting wrecked on the way down. So they bought this, thought it was a low, and then they got liquidated here, essentially. And then someone else bought that, which tells you, two things like retail's chasing moves, and then smart money is using retail as liquidity. So it's like PvP.
PvP is my favorite type of trading. One day I lose, the other way I lose, but apparently everyone loses.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 2022 and 3 combined, I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder how alts are looking. I haven't looked at
Yeah,
alts.
I was just going to ask a question about alts. Do you feel like bidding them because they're so oversold, or not necessary?
Probably not, unless there's like a really nice setup. I think like the thing that matters the most currently is structure. 100% structure, then trend after that. So first thing we need to declare is Bitcoin going into a high time frame downtrend until later in the year, right? That would essentially look like yeah, so that would be, I don't know, like a bounce that ends here and then rolls back over to these lows with like a little bounce, continues lower, right? That would be a very obvious like high time frame downtrend. Which does not include like a significant bounce, right? So if we get a significant bounce, it'd look like this probably. And then it continues higher. And this is where the market would think it's back, right? At the same time, that's where I'd be kind of cautious because it could be, a trap, which then, leads to us like easily losing the level and then longs buying in more as it consolidates here before it like just goes straight down because of bad news usually. Also, welcome, Mr. Robot.
GM, am I audible?
Yeah,
You are.
Good. Thanks for the invitation. It'll be easier with some insights.
Good to have you here.
I called it last week. I said you're going to be hosting the stream next week. Here you are.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, and good thoughts. Try to react on some things there. But yeah. Thank you for all the feedback and replies.
No worries. I mean, we tend to look for the same stuff. as for like Bitcoin, this is essentially what I'm keeping an eye on. Is 88 to 86K is like your first level where we potentially reject on a bounce. If not, it would be 92 to 94K. That's where I would be, very cautious around 92, 94K, simply because it was significant support. So it's likely to be significant resistance. Plus, there's market supply there, which is pretty good confluence. Yeah, I mean, as for now, like since the market went like pretty short around 80K, expecting breakdown, the market's definitely caught offside, in my opinion, at least. Other than that, I mean, you basically just piggyback the flow. Like what we really need, for significant bounce is a lot of spot buyers.
So what helped me, or I use like actually the weekly volume profile as a guide for my intraday trades, which was actually pretty accurate. And I think the repeating pattern again, like Monday range, perfect, like define the range for the week, and Monday high, monthly open, like acting as resistance. Even the good CPI, or like we can say good CPI and PPI data could not break that level. So definitely passive seller control in the 85, 84K zone. So yeah, and that's what at the moment I'm looking at, just contextually.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll actually open up the macro data at the moment. So we had on Tuesday, it was jolts. Job openings were higher than previously, higher than expected as well. So that tends to be, good for like labor market. Job quits were higher, so it's kind of like, like what's going on? A bit of confusion, right? I mean, that's also been the job market for like the past 6 months anyway. There'll be a lot of noise until we see, I think, in March, which releases the February data. I think potentially we see the start of Doge's impact on especially like probably increased hiring in private, but a lot of quits in public, a lot less like job openings in the public as well. And obviously like government jobs, which has carried most of the labor market reports for like a year or 2 years. That'll essentially be a lot less of an influence, which means it comes down to a focus on the core economy, which is like how healthy things are. And we've known for like quite a long time that things are pretty tough already for very important sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, services, in terms of employment. So yeah, it'll be super, super important, I think, between March, April, and May. That's like the 3-month window that you want to watch, essentially, in terms of macro. Everything now is 100% front running it. So the market being like as crap as it is essentially the market expecting the worst. And if the worst doesn't happen, then you tend to get like a massive bounce. As well as inflation is like the other very, very key topics. Like zero is good. That was negative. Year over year, good. Yeah, like inflation was good. And also the key thing to keep in mind is producers is very important because it tends to lead like the actual CPI. Like whatever producers do essentially leads into the consumer, right? In terms of higher prices, right? So if producers are expecting lower, then that tends to mean the next inflation print should actually be lower. So yeah, next few months are going to be super interesting. Like the few things on the top of my mind is it sticky, or does it continue to gradually decline? And then the least likely, but which would explain, I think, the market's position in terms of recession, is if inflation data and prices break down like a lot, and that would be driven, I think, a lot by tariffs and significantly lower growth expectations, plus like weak sales, combination of things. Ironically, that's exactly what Trump wants. And that's exactly what we need, I think, to get a cut in June as well.
And that's exactly what Ben just highlighted my comment. Whether we, as you also rightly said, we haven't seen yet the effect of tariffs, and if there's going to be an agreement, if it's going to smoothen up, or it's the worst doesn't happen, it probably won't be sticky, I would guess. But if it stays for a longer term, yeah, that's the main question. I think that's not the narrative, because I don't think we have a narrative, or bearish narrative is this, the uncertainty that we don't know yet if what kind of and when the agreement could arrive. And I think that's what's dragging down, the risk assets, very obviously.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because when you have uncertainty in the market, you get volatility, right? And that's basically because long positioning collapses, hedging explodes, everyone starts hedging or selling, and it becomes really, really chaotic, right? And that's entirely because of the uncertainty around guidance and what's expected from world leaders. And ironically, this benefits, I think, the Trump admin in the near term, but like not so greatly long term, especially if they take a massive hit in growth, because that does drag the economy lower. And then obviously the question in terms of macro would be like, do they have the resources behind them to actually be able to, because when you get a big decline in growth and it doesn't stop, and the economy starts to deteriorate quickly when you have debt problems already, you get a really, really, really tricky situation in terms of like debt refinancing, enough liquidity in the financial system to withstand potential bankruptcies and defaults and et cetera, et cetera. It becomes like a massive problem to deal with. And I think like none of that's going to be priced in until it's known that like everything is capiche, kind of, which I highly doubt personally. But I mean, just looking at the 2-year yield, right? It's already come down a lot. And like FYI, that's good for like Fed policy. It's I mean, like I think below 4%. I'm pretty sure I highlighted that. 4% on the 2 yield is important, and most important on the 10-year, because a lot of the government debt tends to be like 10, 30 year. That's slightly above 4%, but that continues to go up. I believe we also have the debt ceiling and shutdown kind of theme at the moment. That tends to lift gold temporarily.
Yeah, we can see that, right? And it's also mentioned in the comments. So when I look across the market, like equities, like basically except BTC and gold, everything is below the election level, which was the election level was definitely an inflection point in the market. Then of course the other reference point is inauguration date. So those are the two dates I'm kind of trying to gauge the market in terms of performance. So yeah, that's so still you can look at this obviously being dragged down, but still showing strength over time and since the election for BTC. What I'm mostly looking at, of course, besides equities, the main indices.
True that. Let me have a look. Let's have a look at this. I'll bring up the table for Wait, why's it cut it? That's kind of weird. Yeah, I'll just do that. So yeah, the spot ETF table is pretty interesting, and we can obviously see that, as expected, basically since the monthly open, it's mostly been negative total. As for like size, you can see, you know, the usual for GBTC, then for Fidelity, pretty large outflows, and they've maintained like pretty large outflows most of like February as well. So it's like that equity correlation, as well as like the whole sense is that there's pretty negative sentiment and outlook, I think, for, you know, markets as a whole, especially risk market. And typically, you know, when it comes to ETF flow in general, price tends to actually lead before you see it reflected in the data. Like this is a pretty good example. Like as soon as, you know, price goes down, you tend to have like decent outflows basically, which tends to mark the low. And we've had like significant outflows here. And we've had even more outflows here. So this might actually be a little bit of edge, a little game theory here, right? Let's say we get a bounce to 92, 94K, right? And we see some pretty large prints again, like inflows into ETFs like IBIT, FBTC, right? And the rest of them. But at the same time, like the market can't sustain higher. That would be the clarification for the next like lower high, at least for me. Because, you know, this is really just liquidity for the market, and, you know, sophisticated firms are going to use this liquidity to their advantage in terms of positioning.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we talked about this on one of the earlier streams, and I've studied and researched this a lot. Like, you know, ETFs pretty straightforwardly, like buying the strength and selling into the weakness, like very simply taken.
Yeah. With that as well, they tend to actually hedge on the CME futures as well. So, like, you know, we can basically see around higher, you had this kind of spike, right? That would have been shorted massively, and you can see that because the basis went up, then went straight back down. So someone was like very, very short into that, as well as like, you know, that basically ended up being this crash here. And then basically since, the basis has died, for obviously two reasons. One, the whole Trump trade, essentially from election till inauguration, completed. That's finalized. That's done. Positioning gets cut and called, essentially. Profits are rolled. Now we can actually see that basis continues to decline, and it's like 4 to 5%, which is like nothing, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it's literally like what, 2023, which was kind of crazy in terms of like, it's not the same market as it was in 2023, but the basis is the same. I mean, even if we go and compare it to, I'll have to use CoinGlass for this, I think. Exchanges. Basis. Yes, like quarterly basis across the market is dead. Like 1%, 1%, 2%. This is either two things: dead market or a very hedged market.
haven't checked for BTC, but I think for S&P and Nasdaq, I guess the call put ratio is on pretty high time frame, skewed to the put side, which could also like be a trigger for a squeeze at any time, in the close future. But yeah, on like on a higher time frame, like leading band indicators, like weekly EMAs for BTC and Nasdaq as well. So they are getting, except BTC respected, as I think commented, the 50-week EMA, which I think has been respected throughout this whole move since the election or the anticipation of election. But yeah, ES and Nasdaq is already like breaking that. So at best, consolidation could come, but we'll see.
True. I wouldn't really like. I'd rather see a significant relief bounce at least. I think, especially in the coming week, rather than just a dead consolidation, because that kind of consolidation would, I think, make the market even more pessimistic. I mean, I can't set up like a great short squeeze potentially, but also it just wouldn't look great from like structural standpoint and trend. As well as like here we can actually see every time, this significance. Like here, for example, the market was pretty bullish in terms of positioning, but where it basically ended was the inauguration. It's like each time, that's basically when the market essentially goes, all in calls, then you tend to actually go down.
Pretty clean, actually.
Yeah. I mean, you can see, calls, puts, vice versa. It's been pretty noisy since tariffs.
A lot of speculation, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably farming it mostly. Yeah, I mean, other than that, there isn't like clear signals in terms of trend besides the fact of broken market structure.
US is opening in 30 minutes. Do you think we are going to face some bigger sell-off before the weekend, like usually?
Yeah, usually we see
on
that.
Friday, the market is quite weak.
Was it in futures? Where saw it?
If we follow the same pattern, like all goes bidding up price from yesterday's New York close, basically straight up on lower time frame, and now meeting resistance around current prices. So if the pattern repeats, and probably fake out liquidity grab early session, then selling down, probably some sort of reversal profit taking at the end of the week, or maybe some book clearing would be my expectation. But of course, you never know.
I agree. There is actually a signal here. So since inauguration, APAC, which is Asia, has essentially been mostly like sellers, right? And that actually led, the burgers by like a good week, little over a week. But then this bounce essentially driven by US and Europe, but faded obviously. That was the one to 92K. And obviously Asia sold that. Now we can actually see Asia's buying, right? So they have been the buyers recently, which makes a lot of sense in terms of market not breaking down. Yet we have not actually seen that. We haven't seen really any significant lift from US. So I guess if that happens this session, that would be a change in what we've seen in like the past month, essentially. Same with slight uptick so far in this EU session, which probably is this flow. I can probably
This
change.
confirms what I have seen, what I've experienced throughout this week, some part of last week as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. Yeah, it's like 8:30 New York time. That's like Asia, basically. That's when we bought them. Okay, that bottomed off the open. Sold in the afternoon. Okay. That could be one strategy. So if we actually do go up into the morning session, then it probably goes down in the afternoon. Then usually it's the opposite if it goes down during open. Either way, like to make it pretty simple, I'm just looking at 80K and 84K. It's like, if we can't get through 84K with like sell pressure, it's like a decent short time, very short term, short. Like obviously stops would be a little bit higher, like 80, 86, 87. OPEX next week is the catalyst for petroleum. Yeah. I mean, the new repositioning, I guess it would be, depends why. I mean, with that, I'd probably see like a lot of the hedges come off. So let's say smart investors or traders are like short because of the current narratives and such. And they hold that, then they may start to hedge some of that out. Potentially they tend to do it on like Sunday to Monday or something like that. Then like if we get FOMC, which is like good for risk market, then there could be a pretty good build up in terms of buyers and like more built bullish positioning in the market. Which could then lead a relief bounce.
Yeah, so what I wanted to add is, for next week, in terms of next week, the FOMC and the OPEX, also we don't know yet what's going to be said during the FOMC. So that could be a really, really messy week with a lot of repositioning. So definitely something to look out for.
I think they'll probably mention tariffs a lot this time, but I think given the CPI reports, they'll probably be a little bit dovish. Plus, like the Michigan sentiment tends to be a little bit important. It's like we see a forecast here for like slightly higher inflation, right? If it's actually lower, like 3%, then I think the FOMC will be pretty dovish, like cautious but dovish.
What do you think, Mr. Robot?
Can you please repeat?
What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, so like checking, the CME Fed Watch tool for the rate cuts. So I think it's 99% at the moment that, next week, the rate. So there's going to be no changes next week. But I think it's like pricing in three cuts for 2025. I don't know. I still have doubts that this will stay on 3. So yeah, so looking at strictly at the data would definitely like project more dovish comments. However, it's still yet to be seen if how the uncertainty remains. So how they will comment about the tariffs. So that's where I'm kind of on 50-50. If it could be dovish in terms of the data, but for the midterm maybe could be a little bit hawkish maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the last call, he was quite cards to his chest. There were a lot of questions about how he, his relationship with Trump and things like that.
Right.
I'm wondering if no change. Well, obviously that seems like definitely going to happen, but then how he responds in the press conference to different questions, if that might have some impact on the price after the actual announcement.
I fully agree. So I would not be keen on like positioning myself on any time frame, especially on intraday, before the press conference, because it really depends on the dynamics of the questions. But yeah, I think recently they just straight go into the to the hot questions right at the open.
That's kind of funny, actually, that they do that. I mean, we can actually see in June, obviously 55% is like more than likely or likely, right? Probably likely, more than likely would be like 70%-ish.
It's funny how
but then
Trump has that effect where no matter what he touches, it makes it quite entertaining and quite impactful on the market. Just something as simple as like the
yeah,
FOMC
sure.
press conference. Now it's like worth tuning into just to see how people torment the guy with questions.
It is quite funny, isn't it? I mean, like Trump as a whole is quite a character. So, I mean, like anything and everything he does is entertaining.
Yeah, you definitely appreciate it outside of the U.S. probably more so than being in it. But
yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, very true. Other than that, like, yeah, I just want to say, June looks quite likely for a cut for the next cut. That's been talked about a lot. That'll probably get brought up a lot as well. And then obviously this would be a bigger cut than expected. That only happens if you see like shit falling apart, literally. Doubt that, and then obviously that would be a pause. And the only reason for a pause would be like a gigantic spike in prices, and inflation's expected to like spike dramatically because of the tariff impact, which we haven't really seen yet, to be honest. I think the expectation in other central banks, like the one here in Australia, the European one, is a spike later in the year in terms of inflation because of sticky prices, but also the tariff impact.
At the meantime, different topic, but I've seen, Delta One, Walter posting on some Binance and Trump
Oh yeah.
collabs. Oh my God, that's again another level of a shit
I mean,
show.
look, it makes sense because the Trump, what do you call them? The Trump cabal, for shits and giggles. So the Trump cabal, right? They obviously are like, hey, we have a little bit of influence, we have some capital. Why not try to buy some of Binance, right? This is a strategic opportunity as well for Binance because they can get back into the US market and bigger and compete with Coinbase, which makes a lot of sense. And at the same time, like Mr. Binance can potentially get a pardon. I doubt it, to be honest. Like, I don't think Trump's going to give a shit at all. But if he gets a lot of money out of it, and since Trump is obviously a businessman, then maybe. Other than that, it's definitely something I did not have on my bingo cards for this presidential term at all.
but it has to be fake news, right? Like, because the timing doesn't really make sense. Like, obviously, CZ doesn't need a pardon now. He's already served the time, and
Yeah, he's served the time. So like, I don't know. It seemed. I read it and I was skeptical about it as well.
Yeah. But it does kind of point out, what we were even talking about earlier, how this is like a valid pathway to one, pumping your token, but becoming a legitimate project is by allowing a project started by the member of the president's family to invest in you, which just seems not only corrupt beyond belief, but it also just seems like it puts our industry down a bad path to where the motives of builders are just not focused on actually like growing and actual adoption.
Right. Yeah, I forgot to touch on this as well, but yeah, in terms of the SPX, we've actually lost like a pretty key level here, which it was like the last July high before we made higher low and then another higher low. So the structure was obviously bullish back then. Currently, we have sustained to lose this low and continue the breakdown, right? As well as like now we are rejecting this area. So, and like, it looks like complete ass, honestly. But if we actually manage to, keep this price area, I think most importantly, like, we can like wick into it. Then I could see a dramatic like this, I could see a dramatic bounce of some kind. Well, I mean, to me, it looks like
What
SPX
percent of your
downtrend.
portfolio do you spend trading on things like SPX?
I mean, look, it impacts things like my alts because Bitcoin, tends to shit itself a little bit. So, like, if the SPX is good, then you can be like, into alts only if Bitcoin looks good and the other alt majors look good, right? And there's like capital flowing into the market. I could actually get that up. That's something I should check. I think what was it? Stablecoin circulating. If it's gonna load. If not, I can just do this. Yep, so we can see the dominance continues to go higher with stablecoins. That tends to be obviously a risk off sign. But what I want to see is stablecoin inflow. You can usually track it on like DeFi Llama, like this one. I can't get the other one because that site's kind of a piece of shit. But you can see continually there is increasing circulating supply of Tether, which tends to be really, really good for like two reasons. Obviously, first being liquidity, and second, the more liquidity that you have tends to be, the more buyers lower. So like, that actually tends to be quite bullish for the market in terms of like long term. It used to be there, but it's not. That's annoying. So before I open ETH and potentially curse the stream, any thoughts about ETH?
Let me take my medication really quickly.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's the time to be bullish on ETH. It's very,
Oh wow.
It's very brave or stupid to say that, but the 0.2 level with BTC and an overall sentiment, like chart wise, it ain't looking good. But if there is going to be any up market, it's a good trade, and if it's bear market, I don't see a reason no, I don't think it will keep underperforming. It will drop with the rest of the market, but I don't think it will keep underperforming. That's my take basically.
Overall, yeah, I agree with that.
The risk reward is here, and I do think buying it here is a smart move. Like if there is any chance to bounce, it's here in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so one nice confluence here is obviously this really high volume node here, which was, rejected multiple times previously, and then it was made, support here before we had the move up, right? Now, we've obviously retraced the move all the way back from like 4K, which is kind of fucking nuts. It's like 50% decline, right? So the risk reward is definitely skewed to being like a spot buy here. So what you want to see obviously is probably Bitcoin recovering its structure first and foremost, but so Bitcoin recovering like 92K, 94K, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you see like a dramatic increase of ETH, like above like 2.2K. That's obviously where it gets clearly very obvious that there's a good long opportunity from like 2.2K towards like like this area essentially around potentially up to 3K. That would be an insane trade to take actually.
Yeah, and what
Um,
makes me bullish from like sentiment side, like I open chat and I see Chinese community members crying about ETH. I'm like, okay, this must
oh
be the
really?
yeah, like every day it happens every day, and like Litecoin is better than Ethereum. Like maybe chart is looking
Oh,
bad, but fundamentally there is no way
yeah.
Litecoin is better than Ethereum. And that's a big bottom signal for me. Uh, so yeah, if there is ever going to be a comeback, it's now. That's my take.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
not.
I definitely see the opportunity here, especially if it reclaims like this level, which is these key highs here. So if it reclaims like literally $50 higher, like it's not hard for ETH to do. Then like 2.2K, then that would be even more. That there's gonna be a significant move. So that would be the reason why you're buying here, is because you think it can like reclaim this level, then have a move up like that. That would be the thesis for sure. Other than that, if it's like a long-term investment, then like nibble some here. Then probably somewhere around like the 1600 to 1500 level. That would obviously be with like Bitcoin breaking down. And then obviously if like any of these lows actually get ran again, that's insanely cheap.
Yeah, some sting bits to that level is definitely worthy, I believe. Although, if you look at the 2024, I think we can call it as a range, right? So from 2024, start of 2024 till like the monthly open, March monthly open was a range. And we break
This year.
down. Yeah, we break down from there. That's the only thing that concerns me a bit. So, but obviously reclaiming that would be, super, super tough confluence for a squeeze back and acceptance into that range
Yep.
again. What I would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
looking
that
for.
makes sense. Like you have
You
the
guys are
lows
way too
here.
nice. You can just tell him he's in denial. You don't have to, do this because we're on stream in front of 1,000 people.
Yeah, just tell me
I
I'm
mean, look,
retarded.
everyone knows ETH is the biggest shit coin, has been for like 2 years, right? Even like the soy liners achieved more in like the past 2 years than the Ethereum soys, so which says a lot.
I should add if to my name on Twitter. Like, tell me whatever you want. Like, if it's a 6K token and it's going there eventually.
Oh yeah.
That would
Oh, to
that would be
6K.
bullish for Woo, for my altcoins. Woo
Yeah, that's
definitely very correlated to ETH. We need this.
like it's called manifestation, I guess, or affirmation. So
Yeah.
I affirm a lot if at 6K, because like I don't have any if. I have some exposure on if via through NFTs, but I do think like it needs to change. Like there is no alt season without it, and well, like we are in the bear market for sure, but like eventually it will be a bull market, and there will be an alt season. And to be fair, to have an alt season now, it's so easy because even if prices pump like 2x, 3x, 4x, they're still down. It's like no new all-time highs. They will be like, okay, from minus 95% from all-time high, they will be like minus 80 or minus 75%. So the alt season here is very likely to happen.
Yeah, I think like DOT is probably a good example because of just how like shit the chart I think has looked generally over time. Yeah, I mean, look, it's back at multi-year lows. That's crazy. Like DOT retraced the entire move. That's another 50%. I mean, damn, the risk reward is really clean here, actually, in terms of buying it. And even like being long, because like your invalidation is quite literally just like 3.6. That's kind of a free trade. Obviously, very long term, very high time frame trade.
Could you guys check the RWIF chart? I'm curious about your opinion.
RWIF. What is RWIF?
Yeah.
How do I even spell that? Like this?
ARW. You can just type AR and it's gonna be fine.
Oh, RWIF.
Yeah,
Right.
RWIF. Sorry. Yeah, not native speaker.
All good, all good. Why does it do that? I guess I had that marked out as key level last time.
Yeah. I don't have any direct exposure. I have shitload of OW, and the liquidity pool is with RWIF. But now with text listings, it's gonna be different. But yeah, still RWIF pumping would be helpful. And the other way it works the same.
That was probably potentially the exit pump. This looks like capitulation to me, to be honest. Last time I saw capitulation like this was Bitcoin in 2019. I'll actually show you exactly where. I think it was after the Z candle. It looks the exact same. That is insane. This. It literally looks like that.
Yeah.
So I guess like running the lows would be buying it probably.
Yeah, I bought some today. Actually, Ben bought for me because I had some open position and on leverage, and I couldn't withdraw any tokens, so I just sent him stable coins, and he bought me RWIF and withdrew to my wallet.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense to buy here. Then like basically just look at this range. That would be I'll actually just clear this. So this low and this high. That's what I'd be looking for. Like get back in here. Then it'd look a lot cleaner.
Mr. Robot, which chart is interesting for you?
I mean, yeah, I wanted to add a comment here. So for and yeah, starting with ETH. So I'm really far from being an ETH maxi, but also like for alts, and if you realize the amount we talked about, equities and macro stuff is like compared to alts and crypto. So it's like increasing these days, which means there is also reflects the interest in the alt parts of the market. And a good gauge I'm using is the relative strength to Bitcoin for certain coins. Obviously, as a main trader's coin, I usually use BNB as well, but it's not really providing good setups lately. Very, very tight at the moment. So BNB, major is definitely what I'm also looking at. Other than that, I try to monitor or scan which coin has like periodic outperformance compared to BTC. Then I usually jump in those to have a quick in and out play. But obviously, I'm like I'm more like a low time frame guy, and therefore I'm probably my approach is a little bit different. to yours, or maybe probably to your, yeah.
Yeah, Sol just swept the low and it's trying to reclaim it now. There's definitely the potential for a really good setup. Just depends on Bitcoin not dying. It'd most likely just be a relief bounce, though.
I feel there is a relief bounce on hype.
Yes, indeed. Should be due, actually. And if you study or if you look at how bottoms form mostly right now, obviously, or unfortunately, we need to look at, ES and MQ because main drivers, obviously. So either, we see a bit like a week down, like some sort of liquidation, which I don't think, we had such a constant selling. It probably won't come unless, something breaks or something really unexpected being announced or something. And the other approach or way could be like, like ranging in a very tight space for maybe a week or two, so price cannot go lower, then it bounces and then starts the squeeze, and the relief bounce would be my estimate or expectation.
Right. Also with hype, last stream I think we spoke about.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that.
I might have been in the Discord, I can't remember, but it was either one of them. But other than that, yeah, I marked this area as like in the area you want to basically buy hype. And so far the reaction's pretty good. Other than that, I think like sustaining above like 13 to me would definitely be like an outlier of strength in the market. Other than that, valuation does tend to matter for like these kind of tokens. So I mean, it's valued at 4.6 billion. That's like high-ish. The FDV is 13 billion, right? However, if the long-term vision is to be something like Binance, which it seems to be, then like the long-term reward is obviously pretty good. But also at the same time, they have to provide a lot in terms of bullish tokenomics and provide a lot back to token holders and such like that. What's one of the other big coins of this year? It was Kato, I think.
Kaito.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kato seems to be doing the usual, like you have the initial high after the airdrop, then it like bleeds. Like, it tends to go like 30 to 50% lower. Yes, it's already done 55% lower. So I guess like from here, you should really just look at around current price basically. If it's still weak, then it'll probably go a bit lower, like maybe like $1.90 something cents. That'd be a nice opportunity. Other than that, just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, but with hypes circulating back quickly to it, like I still feel like it could go easily to $8-7, considering the exit doors are very thin, and there are still a lot of people in a huge profit, and I feel like okay, it can underperform the market if we keep dropping, because they have very trader mindset and they will just sell as soon as it keeps showing weakness. And also, a lot of them are leverage traders. They're losing a lot of money. I mean, leverage traders, leverage gamblers, let's say. So, like,
Right.
there are many sellers, in my opinion, and buyers aren't stepping in unless the overall market shows something fundamentals, some strength. Like $5 for hype would be not as a big surprise.
Fair enough. I mean, it launched at like 10.
No, it launched at 3. It launched at 3.
Okay, 3.
Yeah. And
I
there
guess
are
that makes
still,
sense.
big airdrop holders which made a lot of money. And if it's bear market, they will just, cut it. Still great trade, holding it through.
Okay. Yeah, true, true, true. So like game theory this, then that would require the two outcomes that which we've talked about in terms of Bitcoin, which dictates the rest of the market as well. So like rejecting the next bounce and maintaining bearish structure. Then yeah, I think you'll probably see very more clear underperformance from hype. Like to me, this decline in hype is definitely people just trying to sell out at the best price possible.
Yes, I agree.
It's not capitulation yet, but this is definitely people cutting risk for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really not sure what's next with the market. Like, for the first time in a very, very long time, I have absolutely no clue. Like, I feel the market wants to go lower just because of S&P 500 looking so bad. So I don't think that we will, like,
I mean I get that too, but also I know like big firms and whatnot are essentially looking for like two things at the moment, right? Any potential reason to cut short positioning to be long, and liquidity, essentially, because they need the liquidity to be long, right? So I think they're pretty close to having both. Yeah, if not already, we just need to see the confirmation of like a legit reversal. And that would be yeah, like a very strong day plus some kind of decent narrative, I guess.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna clip out Michael being bearish on hyperliquid. And I'm gonna
yeah,
tag all the hyperliquid maxis in it, and your Twitter
yeah,
is just gonna
dude.
blow up, sir.
Please start recording now. I hate Hyperliquid. I'm literally the worst community member. Hyperliquid gave me a lot of money, and I'm very ungrateful piece of shit. But I do think the product is super overrated, and Hyperliquid community is extremely toxic. And there is a lot of fab boys who were yapping when it was outperforming, but now suddenly everyone is shh, no one says anything. So, and as the very horrible member of the community, I still hold and don't yap. It's underperforming that much. Uh, yeah, but the product isn't that great. Like, it's the AVM is super super overrated in my
People are
humble.
gonna think that Woo is paying you to say this.
No, no, no. Like, no, who didn't pay me a dime for that? And actually, uh, yeah, I've been farming both airdrops. It's not a secret that I was trying to get orderly airdrop too, uh, but I don't understand why everyone is so hyped about Hyperliquid. Like, okay, it's good, but I
it's
see a
it's
lot
because
of
it's the new thing, basically. The new thing. Um, they like to feel a part of something. They like to get rewarded for it, essentially.
yeah,
I mean,
like,
hey, like if hype actually goes below like 10, then like yeah, I mean the
I
community
mean,
might be in like disarray.
yeah, I mean, I pay a lot of respect to the team, like Jeff, like, great guy. What they did is incredible. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm very very impressed. But in crypto, I feel like we really want to be uh like very extreme. There is no like mid opinion. You either hate it or love it with everything. And Hyperliquid, everyone loves it and keeps overrating it. And then you have good products that are being underrated. There is no like, I feel like there's a miss of balance in this space. So yeah, it's that they have a lot of
That's
potential. They can do a lot of stuff. Like, I'm super bullish on the Bitcoin native thing. Like, it's very handy. That's a thing that very likely I will use. That they will get me as a user. But still, like, it's way too early to call them like the best project in the space. They did
I think that's
something.
just society in general now. Everyone is loving everything or hating everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it's coming from. I feel like my when my grandparents were my age, they weren't so controversial. There was more balance, more like, now is either one way or another. There is no balance between all of this, and I'm not sure why the society is like that, but I see that very clearly in crypto. Like everyone now hating ETH, like come on, like you're just retarded. Okay, it is underperforming. It has been underperforming, but I really don't understand uh, so much hate, and it's far away for me to be an ETH maxi, but that's pretty much it. Like people are way too emotional about all of this stuff.
Mr.
Yeah, but
Robot, I'm going to leave it for you to respond to.
Yeah, why, guys, you were exchanging some thoughts here. I was just watching, the New York Open and also, VIX and the DXY. Like, seems like a nice pump off the Open here at the
Yeah, a
meantime.
little bit of ass liquidity got pulled as well on Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, generally the first hour dictates the trend of the day. So basically just watch what the market does in the next hour. I mean, other than that, I wanted to look at this chart comparing Solana and ETH.
I wish burgers won't do some kamikaze today in the market. Like, give me a chill weekend, please.
One nice weekend. That's all we ask.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing else. Like, just one. Like,
True.
even Saturday, like on Sunday, I don't mind that's a little bit of volatility, but please, Saturday be flat. Yeah. By the
Mr.
way,
Robot,
like,
how are you positioned? I'm curious in terms of like actively trading.
Like for usually I do not hold my things beyond the actual daily close. So I like to, if there is maybe if I took some partial profits and the structure looks good. So for instance, from yesterday's New York close, then yeah, I leave them open overnight as I live in Europe. But other than that, so I mostly do intraday trading. Then I convert convert the profit into BTC mostly, just to give you an idea. But I do also have some exposure in some in stocks as well. So not just crypto. But for alt wise, I pretty much cut most of my backs. Even before the inauguration. So
just
and
out,
because go ahead.
just out of curiosity, do you trade on in CeFi or DeFi in terms of crypto?
So on the former, yeah.
Okay,
Mostly Mr. CeFi.
Mr. CeFi.
Okay, you meant CEX, like centralized exchange?
Yeah, centralized. Yes,
Yeah, centralized. Yep.
Okay.
That's supported in my area. So, and obviously got liquidity. So yeah.
Fair enough. How what do you think of my stacks anyway, Mr. Robot?
I mean, since I'm following like the whole community, they are definitely gaining some big attention and I think relevance in the industry, right? So that I look at it as probably the future area of potential future area of trading.
Have you used one?
No, I played around just to get to know to it, but not directly yet. So because it really eats up my days to have engaged and have everything kept in order, like journaled and prepped. Unless because I've run into some really bad periods when I was not fully prepared, so I had to sort out my daily schedule to have some sort of discipline. So even though if you've got like a hot hand, like in basketball, when you've got like good win streak, it's really important to stay humble.
Yeah, you
No,
strike
that
me as a very disciplined person, but it would be fun as an exercise to have you try out WuFi Pro as a DEX, as a CFI trader, and give us some feedback on that.
So I've already, we're already in touch with Michael. So I think if it's not a problem, then I'll reach out to you guys offline to, so you could fill me in more, and I can also gain some more information.
I'm very happy to shield my reflink. Very happy. Yeah. By the way, like, funny story. I went to the Woo office today, and I was able to install a book, Reminiscences. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Reminiscences.
Of a stock operator. I
Oh,
read
yeah.
this book in Polish, but there's a new version, and this is the OG one in English. And I think that's gonna be my weekend treatment.
I think it
Nice.
was mine. I think I just left it there because
Oh.
I read it and I was,
Wait, actually,
No.
yeah, no, I
that's
think
funny.
it was. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of books that you just take them and read them, and then just the ones you're done with, you just leave them back. But I think I brought that one and just left it there. So enjoy.
Well, I didn't have, in my mind to give it back, but now it seems like I have
No.
to.
I was planning on traveling, right? So I come to Poland, have a heavy book, read it, put it down, and then pick up another one on the way out.
Yeah. Nice.
It's a good book, though.
It's
It's an
It's a good
excellent
thing to
book.
read in a bear market.
True. Yeah, I mean that's what you do in a bear market is you perfect your strategies and skills and be prepared for the up only.
Yeah. I read this book in Poland, in Polish, because there is a guy, quite a big trader in Poland, and he was famous for shorting Luna. He was like shorting it from like $60 to the zero. He made a lot of money, like publicly on live with his community. He made like 10 mil USD. And he was like publicly always like inspired by Jesse Livermore. And the funny part is, like, he lost all of the money, all of it now. And like he's very close to ending
But
like
he
Jesse
lost the
Livermore.
10 mil.
All of it, even more.
You blew it up.
How do you how do my brain can't
He
permit
has
that.
a big problem with shorts. Like he loves shorting stuff.
Hilarious.
Ah,
God.
yeah, I mean, you never go like full retard, as they say, as in terms of like you never short every pump, you never long every dip.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the issue. But anyway, like when he was at his prime, he paid a book writer and a translator to translate the Jesse Livermore book to Polish and make it but make it better, like exactly as his life was. So it was like the combination of his book and his biography. And we made like very limited edition, so we could buy it. I bought it, and one of the best book in my life I've ever had. Like, I hope one day they will translate it to English.
And
Do you want to put your Amazon ref link in the comments there, Michael?
Oh, no, I don't have a
Amazon,
link,
yeah.
but
yeah.
happy to create one.
And by the way, back to the discipline part. Just maybe a question to all of you, and it's what was your I don't know, biggest struggles, or like maybe in the early trading path. Like I'm just curious about this, because obviously you strive to be disciplined, but and even though I consider myself as a disciplined person, but still if you do not have proper emotional control, or if certain
I
market
think-
conditions. Yeah, go ahead.
I think honestly, it's sticking to what works, and by that, what I mean is like your reasoning for taking a trade. Because where 99% of trades go wrong is you ignore your system and your trading strategy, right? You're like, oh, this time's different, right? 9 out of 10 times that ends up being wrong, right? So I'd say exactly that is probably the biggest problem when it comes to early trading, is like not being consistent, and actually sticking to like what works. if you want to be like creative and test strategies and stuff like that, do that in like a non-trading environment, as in like, you know, obviously don't trade with like actual money. If you want to test strategies, use like test accounts, like demo accounts or whatever they're called.
Yeah, agreed.
For me, I'm not really a trader. I'm more of a builder, and I work with a lot of traders, so I'm pretty versed on it. But I'm just too over exuberant as an individual, too optimistic about our industry. So inevitably, I end up, you know, holding on to things longer than they are. But I just take that as, you know, kind of where I need to be with my career and everything, right? Like I need to be focused on building, and I can't be focused on managing positions and how much risk I'm taking. So it is what it is. And, you know, I think with this industry, the more you tinker with things and experiment and you learn, you get rewarded quite heavily. Airdrops being the prime example of that, right? So, you know, you can kind of afford to be risk on all the time if you're the type of person who is always experimenting and
Wow.
trying out new things.
Yes, I do agree with the final points there. So the prime example is Andre, because, you know, this man, like everything this man has touched in terms of projects has like insane initial appreciation, as well as like market timing, especially when it comes to token appreciation. It's like insanely important, as well as like from the builder aspect, shipping products, you know, when the market has demand for it and etc., that tends to flow back into good tokenomics, which benefits the token. The combination of these tends to pay off, like obviously very, very well for someone that is like a visionary, as well as like, you know, if you're an investor that is a visionary as well.
Well, about the building and trading thing, like, you know, from business wise, I should ask all of you to trade on WAX, which is the best text, by the way, and WUFI, it's the best text. So feel free to use my ref link. But if you want to make money in this space, like, I think it's way better to be a builder than a trader, because if you get a good idea in the space, you can really bring it to another level. And the best thing is, like, the best example I think is our PAM fund founders. Like, obviously, like, you know, they didn't solve any problem, let's say, in this crypto in the industry, like, you know, a real bottleneck. But if if you just want to make money, I think like being a builder is the best way. And yeah, it's way easier than being a trader.
both require discipline, though, as well, as if you think about it, because if you have a good
They have
idea,
a
you're going to be
few
disciplined to actually build it.
they have a few very in common things, like you cannot be a quitter basically with trading. If you quit, like, you know, trading is a, like, if you really want to be a good trader, you, I guess, like, have to spend like at least 3 years learning it, like really, you know, paying attention, and you cannot quit on on the journey. Maybe it will take 5 years, and you need to be very disciplined. And with being a builder, you know, same, you cannot quit, because sometimes it will be going better, sometimes it will be going worse, and maybe you need to build 3 or 4 products that won't be successful at all. That's my view.
Fair enough.
Great aspect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed, for Bitcoin, still just algo driven price.
How are we looking on the New York Open? Are we still positive?
We are.
Yeah, it's basically just algos, to be honest. So.
As well as equities, I think, you know, sloping higher. And I can see we are testing now, you know, the weekly value area high at the moment, but it's resistance. So I you know, that's definitely this area is resistance. So we'll need to see the flows.
Yeah. I mean, the market still looks mostly short, not really that long. Yeah, like I said, 84K. It's like my area of interest. Above there, maybe a nice little pop from a short squeeze.
Yeah, maybe since we've been in this stream so long, maybe you can kind of reset what you're looking for from these levels over this weekend and into next week. Probably a lot of people have dropped the stream and knew when to come on, so maybe they missed your opening comments.
Maybe. Yep, let me get trading view chart back up. So sure. So basically, this today I'm actually looking for strength, particularly above this area. So like 84 is quite important area. We've consistently rejected it throughout the week. Monthly open as well. We reclaim 84 and the monthly open. That leads towards nice bounce up to last week's key level of 86. And then from that level, I want to see if the market starts being weak again, or if it's strong. If it's strong, then that could lead us up to the high, like the initial bounce in this high here of 92, 94K. That's also the previous value area low, which is very important. Because obviously accepting back into the value area would mean we can trade between 91 and potentially 102K again. But obviously since we broke structure, it's not that likely. So contextually 94 to 92K is like very, very important. Then obviously if we do reject it, then I see us eventually retesting 78K and probably breaking down again. That would obviously be after the confirmation next week that it was a lower high, if we actually do end up bouncing back to 92, 94K. And one big reason for the potential is currently the market is pretty much net short and not positioned at all for upside.
Yeah,
Outlook.
only thing I would add is, the like constructive daily closes could be the confirmation, because right now, as you break down really accurately last week, I think we formed lower low from Sunday starting off. And yeah, if this needs to be confirmed, if this is potentially forming a lower high here for some sort of shift, books definitely supporting this, as we have seen, the strong bid skew environment, especially on Binance. And yeah, first off, this 80, the monthly open, definitely pivotal right now to look at.
Yeah. I mean, we can see obviously these bids here, it's the same firm pushing it up. They were the same buyers from here. But all of this below here is like very, very deep bid depth, which is basically where the order book is heavily skewed towards bids. That tends to be initially or short-term bullish for the market to have like a relief bounce. Then obviously on the upside here, we have some initial supply, ask liquidity. But other than that, I have to unselect that. Other than that, the actual spot supply is up here. It's like 94 to 100K. That would be where I see like the extreme for a relief bounce. That's where it stops. Other than that, obviously this area is super important. 84 to 85K.
My dream scenario is, because there are so many people who believe in the cycle timing theory, so they count weeks and days after halving, and they, compare to previous cycles. So let's say every 25th week after halving, we were pumping, so it's good time to buy Bitcoin spot. I feel like it's astrology for men, nothing else. A very nice
All
story.
those kind of like statistics, yeah.
Yeah,
You need so much more than just, oh, because this week we pumped kind of thing. I mean, you can pump any day and any week based off a random headline. So
exactly. Like also what happened in the past, and it's not a argument that it will happen again. It doesn't confirm that. It might happen
Sure.
again, but it's not said like if it happened before, it will happen again. There is no rule. Like, so I feel like those people need to be also flushed in the market. It's very common in Poland. Like almost everyone who invests in crypto believes in that theory, and they prove to that like every time I talk to them. And I don't know, like
well, I mean,
maybe flashing
if
those flashing.
given what you've just said, like in terms of flushing, like the like long term believers, I think legitimately that'd probably be the next leg law. So say we reject like here, right, and we just end up like rolling over. Then we have like a little bounce, and then just eventually like go like that or something like that, right? Filling like all of that would be 100% the best time to get in. Simply because like that amount tends to be like filling this amount tends to cause exhaustion of sellers.
Yeah,
So, and then obviously you get a move like that probably. I mean, I don't think we're going to get that, but
another thing, like a thought of because I try to think and analyze the market in like not just chart wise, but like usually my playbook is I look for a narrative before it happened and try to get them very very quick, like be early, and that's what I'm good at, and had quite a few good trades in that. And everyone is saying like RWA is going to be a big narrative. For me, it's going to be completely flop, because if the RWA has any fundamentals, it won't go crazy up. It might do like 2 or 3x, and people in crypto believe that like they looking for like 20x at least. They want to change their life quickly. So that's why I don't think like RWA
yeah,
is going to be a big narrative. It will be the most useful one. It will be very like fundamentally wise, but it won't be a main narrative. There's
interesting.
a
I mean,
question from Yaku. Do you see any gaps play a role in your bias?
usually not, but if there is a CME gap, especially like below price, and we backfill it, and then like I see like let me go to the BTC pair. Is it?
I think you might got stuck on trading light. Yeah, okay, now
I
it's
was just getting it. It's like we see the CME gap, right? I mean, it contextually lies up kind of nicely, right, with like resistance. If you see supportive Coinbase flow that it goes along with this gap, so say we fill it and price ends up rejecting, and like Coinbase is selling into it, then like you can play it as like filling the gap and then going lower. Again, it just comes down to context. I don't usually care about gaps. Like I don't think they really play like a huge role, really, especially when it comes to like spot ETFs. and the much larger flows in terms of the spot market, I think that like dictates price significantly more.
What about you, Mr. Robot?
I just wanted to add my thoughts here. So for for low time frame, for very good intraday setups, I would rather be looking at IBIT gaps, much more edge there. So they tend to get filled. Also, the correlation between New York opens and closes, they usually correlate back. So it's for some reason you'll see those going back. If it closes lower, then it will correlate back. So IBIT gaps are much more or having much more edge here than CME gaps lately. Is my impression.
100%. I mean, we filled the gap here. Like this is what I would call legitimate value gap, because it's obviously trading off the base instrument, which is spot Bitcoin, right? They actually hold spot Bitcoin. And they filled this gap here, and that actually ended up being the low as well, which is kind of funny when you think about it. As well as like, when we gapped down over the weekend because of tariffs, I believe it was. We then obviously had that massive bounce, filled it, and then continued lower. Again, there's some nice confluence between all of them that, this area is potential resistance. Like rejecting the gap essentially means the market sees value lower, so that there's like no initiative to fill it, right? But primarily, this is like far more important, actually seeing the order flow of the market. Because, with this, you can actually see what's going on rather than like speculating. With WooX, there is a pretty good copy trading. So you can copy trade. I think what was his name? Blaze or something.
Yeah.
There's probably two of the bigger copy traders. So one of them is Blunt's, Crypto Blunt's. Yeah, I think he's Australian as well.
He's a really good trader.
He's been around. He's on there, and also Crypto Vikings is another one that are worth checking out. But both of these guys tend to be very long biased. So you do want to sort of infer like your own predictions on the market, and if you think it's going up, these guys are really good examples of traders who are very focused on the markets and are likelier to catch trends better than you, unless you're like someone like Mr. Robot who's totally focused on it all the time. There's also other traders which are quite interesting. There's a few quant strategies on there. One is from Caladan, which is a leading like market maker. There's also another one called Headshark, and there's another one called Saturn. So these are all done by market making strategies. They follow things like divergence, so they tend to perform pretty well in all conditions. So it's worth playing around with both depending on what your objectives are. And there is a demo copy feature. So if you just want to jump in and play around, I don't even think you need KYC for it. You can just try it out and see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for the question there, Nikki. I promise you this was not an advertisement. This was a legitimate question.
Yeah. Personally, I've been copying Blunts, and I've been copying Stable Savage. With Viking, when I'm super bullish on the market, that's the moment when I copy him, because he's like very digit with leverage, and he's very, very strong when the market is up. Like then he's unbeatable. But when it's not like up only, it's harder. And Blunts is way more like balanced. Like I feel like he's making money, and it doesn't matter which direction the market goes. But
yeah,
it's just my feeling.
Yeah, social trading and copy. Yeah, I was just gonna say it's not like some infinite money glitch where you just follow these guys and they just print for you. There is some element of trying to structure, how you follow different people. The Crypto Vikings, when BTC first trended up towards 100K, I think he was up like 1,000x on his performance. He gave all of that back, which tends to happen to all kinds of traders. But yeah, I mean, he was just locked in for that period. And, very good trader in bullish conditions.
Yeah, That's a good bias to bring up. Actually, is never go like full like never get locked into one bias, especially when the market starts to change. Because when the market starts to change and you're locked in that previous bias, that's how you lose it all. Like honestly,
Take profits.
yeah. Even when it comes to like social trading, you got to keep tabs on the market. Like when there's periods of certainty, that tends to be better risk to reward for like social trading, especially like up only market or traders that are good at like down only. When it's a period of uncertainty and like a lot of like whipsaw type price action where it's back and forth constantly. I mean, honestly, it's better just to stay cash during that period for like a few months. Because if I don't know, you like stake like a few grand or like 10 grand or like whatever, you can make like a nice like 5-10%.
I don't agree. Just gamble more. That's the way. Like
Only risk is death, right? I've seen a meme about that.
you're going to die anyway, and at least you're going to make it. There's a small chance, and it's way better than taking a lottery ticket. Just every time you win, double down on the next position with all of the profits.
Bro, so degenerate.
And also, when you're up 30x, even if you lose like 70%, you're still up. So don't worry about it. Big balls
fair
are
enough.
shown. Big balls are shown after like how you behave and how you're feeling when you face first minus 50% drawdown. That's where true colors are shown.
Right. I mean, for me, it's different because I'm like institutionally trained in terms of trading. So like, everything is strategy, literally everything. It's like combined checkers, combined chess, combined poker.
No,
Right.
it was a
That's
joke.
kind of like,
I was joking. That's
oh, you
not.
were?
Yeah, that's not the way to. Sorry, maybe the
Oh,
sarcasm wasn't like obvious, but no, like be smart. Like don't gamble. If you want to gamble, go to casino. The odds are better there.
I mean, that's why Pumped Up Fun did really well because people were just like, hey, I'm going to bet on fucking what was fart coin, fart coin going up because it was just stupid.
No. Actually, Fartgun had really good fundamentals. Like I can agree with any other token from
Unironically?
Unironically, yeah. Now I'm not joking.
Bro,
Like
I didn't even look, to be honest. I was just like, oh, funny coin.
no, Fartcoin had really good fundamentals. Like it was a great joke, the best meme in the space, and it still is. Like I don't have any Fartcoin. I don't look for an entry, but still, like in terms of all of the tokens that were created there, that was the one with biggest fundamentals, in my opinion. Like the joke from Goat and that it farts and then like hot air rises. Like there wasn't a better meme in this space. Maybe retarded, but it was very offensive. But every other meme, like show me a funny meme, like Doge Pepper, that they aren't funny. They are iconic, but they aren't funny. And this one was like, TradFi buying fart coin, like that was actually funny.
Maybe Bowden
it was
similarly funny, I believe.
Yeah, there were some big TradFi accounts that were there was one macro guy, I forget his name, but he was like, with Bitcoin going up, this is good reason for like hiking again or something like that. Like it literally made the TradFi boomers mad, which is quite funny.
Exactly, that's the point. And Fartcoin was created to make a fun of AI meta. So because
true, because they made it an AI coin, but
exactly.
True.
Gold was the token that created the whole AI meta, and Fartcoin was a joke of Gold that it's anus, so it farts, and that was it.
Right.
Yeah. So the fundamentals were there in terms of memes. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, this guy agrees.
Yeah. I mean, I really like when Peter Sniff tweets about like Bitcoin is down 5%, but he doesn't see the 5x thingy, and I really would like to see, I don't know, Fartcoin going to $20 just to see the pain from TradFi guys.
Yeah, that fart coin outperformed equities and all the S packs and whatever the fuck.
Yeah, just imagine like Fartcoin ATF. That would be insane.
Oh, dude.
Oh my god,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, there are
Dude,
talks
honestly, like if that's gonna be a major top, it'll be that.
that, yeah, the major top will be in, but just imagine like we discussed Doge ATF, and what's the difference between Doge and Fartcoin? Like purely value wise, there is no difference. There is no difference, and at least Fartcoin is funny. And imagine like people in the Wall Street discussing how to short it or how to long it. What's the bias? Like that would I would just buy it for the culture, the ATF. But anyway, I feel like I'm not on the right. I run way too far from the reality. So yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, I kind of see. I'm looking for a trade on it. I mean, obviously, market would have to not be ass. And no, it's not a pun since it's Fartcoin. But like, yeah, above here.
So like oversold conditions are always good, or
Yeah.
offering asymmetric risk reward ratio. That's all. Just obviously when you have such a excess selling or overextended selling, then yeah, you cannot just really look at, I don't know, for instance, RSI and say, okay, it's oversold and I buy. So you need a structure, a systematic structure for that attempt. But yeah, it's always a good to look out for.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, other than that, kind of like Bitcoin, everything like swept the initial low, then just trying to move up.
Fartcoin is the best play in terms of, if you are bullish on AI, buy Fartcoin. If you are bullish on memes, buy AI, buy Fartcoin. If you're bullish on Solana, buy Fartcoin because it will outperform it. If you are bullish on alts, buy Fartcoin. Like I should just buy some right now when we talk, but because I have zero exposure, but it's such a great joke.
So Michael, you're bearish hype, you're bullish ETH, you're bullish Fartcoin. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to track this portfolio, see how you perform over the next couple of weeks.
Well,
We should actually do that. It'd be interesting.
I'm very transparent with my results. In this year, it's minus 70%.
Damn. I think most people are probably in that ballpark because alts have quite literally reversed like an entire year of price action.
But even after the 70% down, I'm still up like 6x since last year. So
It's decent.
I'm good. I'm good in taking, spotting those cheaters early. And I know the game is like, my strategy is like, there is no strategy, just chaos and vibes.
Yeah, Michael's had an amazing run.
Yeah, what a comment
Michael.
The top signal for me was the moment when I've noticed, LinkedIn boys coming to CT and tweeting about it, like, the LinkedIn faggot style. So I went to LinkedIn and started commenting like Fartcoin is going to $5, or someone was telling a big post about nothing, ChatGPT created content. I was commenting on that, like, you should check Niga Chain AI layer 2. So
yeah, like
that was the top signal. That was the top signal. Yeah, but I'm very happy where I am, so it's fine. But with memes, yeah, Fartcoin is the best meme beta play. But I'm rather to see some strength from it first and be more sure about the broad market before betting on it.
Fair enough. I mean, I see a potential play here in Filecoin, but I'm pretty sure I said that already, and it just like ended up rejecting that high there, and then went lower. Same here, reject, lower. So it's like a clear downtrend which needs to break basically everything.
But now when I like think about my opinions, like bearish hype, bullish if, bullish Farton, like if someone is listening now, he's like, this guy is retarded. And yes, I agree. Fully agree. We are on the same page.
I mean, if you think about it, though, we have like Ben. He's like in the middle. Then I'm like far right on like the IQ scale or whatever. Then you're like the dude that needs to be on the left, right? But like, even though you appear you're on the left, you can actually be on the right. But like, you just find that boring, which is most of CT.
Yeah, I'm super left curve, and I don't even pretend that. Like I took a intelligent test yesterday, and I had like 3 out of 12. So, like I'm very
Wait,
left
can you
curve.
link to
It's
that?
so, it's so left curve that it's almost right curve. But
I mean, you know, though, in up-only conditions, this is the funniest statistic that is actually true. The further left curve someone is up only, they make like infinites more than the super quant dude on the right, because he's trying to be like cautious about his Sharpie ratio and delta and all this shit.
yeah, but my sharpness ratio is well.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. But
In crypto, it's a meme.
yeah.
How did I out myself as middle curve? I don't remember saying anything.
I mean, you're like the in between, like the smart and the degen, you know.
DAO decided.
How do I put it?
Very average.
You're the normal one.
DAO decided, but also I've seen a statistic that like more than 80% of the society thinks they are smart and think that they are smarter than the average. So, like, I really understand that probably I'm less intelligent than the average of society. And if you really understand it, then I feel like you can make it an advantage.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
Should we take a look at the price action on Bitcoin right now? It seems to be not in a very good place.
Yeah, I've been monitoring this, so it like breakdown from the compression between the weekly POC and value area high. So like pulling back. Yeah, interesting.
Kind of sound surprised. I mean, literally, this is just algo, like all of that. It's just algo PA. That's not organic, by the way.
Yeah, I think the day before we've had the same. If you look at or 1 or 2 days earlier, very much the same post close. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we see a repeat of that, then like it'd be a bleed low, I guess. If that happens, then like I said in my tweet, 80K is pretty important. If we fill that, and we get like a little sweep as well of the slow as well, plus this liquidity, it's like pretty nice confluence.
Yeah, I think those untagged daily open area that probably gets tested would be my assumption. That would also like correlate with the with the narrower ranges throughout the weeks. We can see post the Monday range develops, then it's just really, but we talked about this a lot. Just again, it's another week when it comes up and perfectly shows this influence of TradFi, we can say, on BTC.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it pretty cleanly as well for a March, just standard chart. Like this is the current market supply area as well as resistance. We're projecting it currently. Keep in mind that that was algorithmic PA. So we've like reversed this move essentially. Now if we were to break down or trend a bit lower, then we have the daily open and the weekly open to keep an eye on in terms of like the systematic traders that tend to actually take positions, don't you? Other than that, what I've got to say is patience and confirmations from me, pretty much.
Yeah, 100%. So like, yeah, traders market. I mean, at least it's so. For instance, if I don't know, I was backtesting one day and like in 2023. So there were a lot of months where we had like these painful 1 or 1.5K ranges or daily movements. So compared to that, this is not that bad. I mean, so you've got at least some room to play on. So I think if you can catch as an intraday trader like 1 or 2K moves, that's, I think then you did your work.
Yeah, I mean, if you're catching, an 80K to like a 2K move, especially on like decent leverage, like 10 to 50x. I mean, 50x is kind of pretty up there. You're going to be pretty experienced to manage that. But yeah, like anywhere from like 10 to 20x, I would say. It's decent, like decent money. It's like if you're risking like 5K or something like that, so a few $100 each thing, which if you're making that like each trade and you take like a few a day, that's like easily a 6-figure salary if you do it consistently.
Agreed, fully agreed.
It just takes consistency, really.
Yeah, that's a longer term play that needs to be understand. I think, or so those that are unfamiliar, I think needs to really understand this, that it's not just you buy and hold and you ride it. It's like a managed risk with a lot of small trades, and over time it compounds and adds up. Is the key here, or is the magic trick here, which is not a magic trick,
Basically.
is just the fact.
Yeah, it's just like when it comes to like actual day trading, right? You're essentially looking to play an expected move, right? And not being degenerately leveraged, generally speaking. And then like consistently milking the same amount each time, and then that amount compounds over time. And with that, it also allows you to have more exposure, especially when it comes to like higher expected moves, like let's say like CPI or FOMC, which you're predicting to be like a certain way, and if you trade it like accurately with like big size, it can be a huge payday.
Oh yeah, and I think, when was this CPI? It was on Wednesday, right? I
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
think on Tuesday we could see like a quite constructive intraday move. Also, I think including New York or the US session, which is I don't know how much, like it's not public, the number itself, but it was clearly seen. Market was expecting a cooling or or a lower print, so like try to price in, and that's usually what happens when you get a cooler print. Then you sudden pump and you sell off. So that's, again, if you backtest this, very, very common.
Indeed.
Okay, guys, it's almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, we can wrap it up. And what are the takeaways?
Don't get rugged by the algos. Don't be
Don't
the
get
exit to the
liquidated.
boomers.
Don't get liquidated. Yeah. And left
Mhm.
curve is the better side of the word.
Mhm. I think getting ready for next week, I'm optimistic that we finally get out of this sort of 80 to 84K range. With
Yeah,
especially
that'll
going
be
into
resolution.
Wednesday. Yeah, exactly. And if
If-
you are trading, make sure you do it on WooX or WooFi Pro, because a portion of those fees go to buy back the Woo token and gets rid of them forever. So you can make me and Michael rich again, which is always much appreciated. But yeah, I mean, let us know if you want us to do these kind of streams more often. It seems like we got pretty good viewership, over 1,000 viewers the whole time. So yeah, I think it's a good formula, and any feedback, criticisms, definitely directed our way. I'd love to hear it.
I have an idea for piece of content. I would love to see Skew trading the worst shit with the highest leverage live.
Oh, I could do that. That actually sounds hilarious.
Yeah. So, well, if you want to see more of me and my left curve stuff and those idea, yeah, use my ref link.
Yeah, we should do some live trading next time, Skew. Just knock open WooFi Pro, put it at 20x leverage. Not too degen, not like the 100x stuff or 1000x stuff, but
Yeah, we can
put
keep
you
it
under
like
some pressure.
simple. we can keep it humble and simple, like 5x of the deposits will be fine.
Oh yeah.
And
All
Mr.
right,
Robot,
guys.
thank you so much for putting in your thoughts. You're probably the most articulate person on the stream. Very well spoken.
I mean, I need to be grateful for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it, and looking forward for the next ones. I'm trying to be here, making my time free. So it was absolutely a lot of alpha field content. So, and great talks.
Yeah. Make sure you find Mr. Robot. He's in the comments at the very beginning. He was just putting comments in there, and give him a follow because he's
Yeah,
obviously more intelligent than me and Michael. So
he deserves that. He deserves
he
that.
does.
Yeah, and let's meet here same time next week. And
Yes,
feel
sir.
free to prepare your charts and trades
Yeah.
or whatever
We could
you
also
need.
think about doing something Wednesday. Wednesday we have a session actually with the Teal Street guys. So if you guys are familiar with Teal Street, it's a trading terminal. Connect
yeah.
to any exchange. The Sam, who is the founder, and he's also a big trader. He's going to be doing some live trading, and he'll also be talking a little bit about his positioning going into the FOMC later that evening. So check that out. We'll probably have some other events happening as well. Big on the streaming lately. So having a lot of fun up here talking to you guys and all. So yeah, see you again soon.
See you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
All
And have a
right.
nice weekend.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye now.
Take care.